Hey everybody, so today I'm at a Ram dealership and looking at this Ram Limited. This is a 2500 heavy duty model with the limited badging, 20-inch wheels. You know, there's very few people that could say that the Ram is not a pretty truck. I mean, these trucks are really, really nice. I don't care for the little kidneys that the grill has in it. I really like the headlights and the LED light strip that they put underneath it. Never been a big fan of these towing mirrors. They fold up, of course, when you're ready to tow, and you know, just the process of using them and how a lot of people keep them up a lot of times kind of gives Ram a bad name, I think. Again, I'm also not a big fan of the mega cab on these trucks, only because I think it takes up too much of the bed space. And I've seen the interior and how much room you get, but I still think they probably could have made the cab to go to about here, not sacrifice as much bed space, and still have a heck of a huge cab. This particular one doesn't have the fifth wheel or gooseneck prep package in it, but it does have a spray and bed liner. Has the LED lights for the bed as well. Here's the boxed frame on the Ram. I'll tell you, the finish on their frame actually looks nicer than Ford, and it's a heck of a lot nicer than the General Motors waxed frame, but it's an E-coated frame, incredibly smooth finish. It actually probably looks like it has the best fit and finish. Also, the frame material looks to be pretty thick back here as well. They did a pretty good job. It's interesting how the Ram frame bows out, whereas if you look at the GM and the Ford frames, they go straight right here. And that's probably in part because they use a coil spring setup back here, which I'll try to show you. So if you look at your traditional 3/4 ton truck from Ford and Ram, they both have a leaf spring setup. And I know that the Ram actually has that on their dualies. If you look right here, you can see what I'm talking about. Interesting how they have two small overload springs on their dualies. And the frame section, of course, doesn't bow out on the 1-ton truck because it uses traditional leaf springs. Whereas if, again, you look at the 3/4 ton truck, it comes out significantly, probably nearly 4 inches right here. And then, of course, they reinforce it for the shock mount. The front suspension on this truck is actually very similar to a Ford front suspension. The difference is relatively minor. Where they place the sway control bar, the sway bar is a little different. Under these trucks, there was an issue with the earlier models where a weld would break loose, or could potentially break loose from the frame itself, causing potential problems, but I think they've fixed that weld issue at this point. Here's the underside of the front suspension. As you can see with the back of these trucks, they actually use LED lights all the way around. They do not offer a soft opening or a slow opening tailgate on this model, at least not that I'm aware of. All these trucks are going to these incredibly large brandings on the back and on the front, and Ram followed suit versus the traditional Ram logo. And here's a dually. It's interesting how Ram, again, uses the two overload springs, the real thin ones, and then they have a 4 main leaf pack. Here's the boxed frame. Again, the quality of the E-coating on their frame is really nice. I looked at a brand new Ford yesterday, and it doesn't look nearly as smooth in regards to the finish. But that's a really good E-coating they put on these trucks. The difference in dually fenders between a Ram and a GM is pretty significant, as well as the Ford. They've all kind of gone their own route. Ram probably has the largest protruding fenders, which is part of the bed. I like the fact that Ford went with the shape that they went with on the 2016 or 2011 through 16, mainly because if you damage that fender piece, you can replace it. If you damage the fender on a Ram or a GM dually, you have to replace that entire side of the bed, if not the entire bed. Again, this truck, there's a radius arms on the Ram truck, or at least the 1-ton. This is a 3500. There's a sway bar. And here's the AAM rear axle that's used on the Ram trucks. It's actually a pretty sizable axle. I'm not sure if this is an upgraded version of it or not. I can't really tell. But this is the rear end and the axle setup on the Ram. Here's actually a more base model version of the Ram, and again, you can see the same frame design, rear suspension setup. Apparently the coil spring rear suspension is supposed to give it a much smoother ride than your traditional leaf sprung rear suspension that you see from Ford and General Motors. I test drove a dually and it didn't feel like it had much of a smoother ride, but again, that's a leaf spring setup. I'd like to test drive one of these 3/4 ton or 1 ton single rear wheel trucks to kind of see what the difference is. And here's the rear end from another dually that they have. This one has the vented finned rear differential cover on it. Again, you're going to get a fully boxed frame on this truck. All these frames from all three manufacturers are really robust frames. I don't think you'd ever have a problem with any type of load you put in them. So I hope you enjoy this video. I know I haven't done a lot on Ram pickup trucks, but I'm going to try to do a few more and get some more information, perhaps even from driving one of them. Anyways, if you like the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you.